Hey, what's up, everyone? Today gets dark. These ones really stuck with me. Like, subscribe, and let's dive in. My aunt, 58-year-old female, babysat me every summer from ages 5 to 11. I just found out what she was doing in her basement the whole time. This one was posted on r/offmychest by Throwaway Basement Door about 3 days ago. OP is 28-year-old female, and you can feel it from the very first line. This is not someone writing from a calm or collected place. She opens by saying she has nowhere else to put this. She doesn't know who to tell, so she's telling strangers on the internet. She takes you somewhere warm before she takes you somewhere dark. Every summer from the time I was 5 until I was 11, my parents would drop me off at my Aunt Linda's place. She lived out on this rural property. Nearest neighbor was about half a mile down the road. And honestly, those were some of the best memories of my childhood. We would bake cookies together, catch fireflies in mason jars, and I would fall asleep on her porch swing listening to the crickets. It felt safe. It felt like the one place in the world that was just mine. She had one rule, though. The basement door stays locked and you do not go near it. I never questioned it. I was a kid. Kids just don't question things like that. Fast forward to 3 weeks ago. Aunt Linda passed away. The whole family came out to clean up the property, sort through her things, and for the first time in my life, I noticed the basement door was unlocked. I don't know why I went down there alone. I just did. At the bottom of the stairs, there was a fully equipped darkroom, professional setup, and the walls, floor to ceiling, were covered in hundreds of developed photographs. Candid shots of children, taken through windows, at parks, at bus stops. Kids from the neighborhood, some I didn't recognize at all. And then I saw myself. Dozens of photos of me, sleeping, close-ups of my face in bed, different pajamas, different ages. I could see myself growing up on that wall. And that is where the post just stops. No wrap-up, no resolution, just a woman standing alone in a basement full of developed photographs, staring at her own stolen childhood pinned to the walls. She hasn't even told anyone yet. She hasn't even made it back up the stairs. What she describes next is the part that made this post blow up overnight. Because the basement was not just disturbing, it was organized. Meticulously organized. And once you hear the details, you will understand why OP says every good memory she has is now rotting from the inside out. Every single photograph had a date penciled on the back. Not printed, handwritten. And they were sorted into envelopes by year. 2001, 2002, 2003, all the way through 2007. Some of the kids I recognized from town, the girl who worked at the gas station, the boy from the church choir. Others I had never seen before. I flipped one over, and it was me. Maybe 7 years old, asleep in the guest bed, covers pulled down to my waist. I sat down on the basement steps, and I could not move. My hands were shaking so bad I dropped the envelope and photos scattered across the floor. That is when my cousin Emma came down looking for me. She took one look at the walls and screamed. After that, it was chaos. My uncle came down and went white. He kept saying, "We need to burn all of it. We need to burn this house down." I told him no. I told him we are calling the police right now because those are other people's children on that wall. Then it hit me all at once. Every single night at Aunt Linda's, she brought me warm milk before bed. She insisted on giving me baths until I was way too old for it. She brushed my hair every night and always kept my bedroom door open. I thought she loved me. I called my mom that night. I needed her to say something, anything. I told her what we found. And there was just silence. Not shocked silence, not confused silence. The kind of silence that already knows. I want you to sit with that for a second. Not the photos, not the basement. The silence on the other end of that phone call. That last detail is where this story shifts. Because now it is not just about what was in that basement. It is about what was upstairs the whole time. And who was looking the other way. And that question is about to tear this entire family apart. Because OP is not done. She came back with an update, and it is worse. So OP calls her mother. And what follows is one of the most gut-wrenching phone conversations you will ever read. I called my mom the next morning. I told her what we found. I told her about the photos, the dark room, the pictures of me sleeping, and she deflected. She said I was probably misunderstanding it. She said Aunt Linda was eccentric, but would never do something like that. I said, Mom, I am literally holding a photograph of myself at age 7, unconscious in my pajamas. She got quiet, then defensive, then quiet again. I asked her straight out, "Did you know?" She hung up on me. I didn't sleep that night. I locked every door in my apartment. I pulled every curtain shut. I sat on my bathroom floor with the lights on until sunrise. The next day, I went back to the house with police. They had me sit in the kitchen and go through photos to identify myself. I gave a formal statement. The detectives told me the darkroom equipment was professional grade, not some hobbyist setup. Then they opened the filing cabinets. Negatives sorted by child, labeled, organized by year. There were names on some of the folders I recognized from town, kids I played with at the park down the road. I keep thinking about how she would watch us play from the porch and smile. This post blew up overnight, thousands of upvotes, and the comments were not holding back. I am so sorry. The fact that your mom knew something was wrong and still sent you back is almost worse than what your aunt did. That is a fundamental failure to protect your child. Your mother choosing free childcare over your safety after she had evidence is going to take years of therapy to unpack. I'm not being dramatic. That is a profound betrayal. Please find a trauma-informed therapist. The sleeping photos are what got me. She had access to you while you were unconscious, and the thing she chose to do was photograph you. That implies a level of premeditation that is genuinely terrifying. That's the part I can't get past either. I was a heavy sleeper as a kid, and she always made me this special warm milk before bed. I never questioned it. Now I'm sitting here wondering if she was putting something in it to make sure I stayed asleep. I can still taste it if I think about it, and it makes me gag. OP replied to a few other comments that night. Said she felt like she was mourning a childhood that never actually existed. 5 days of silence. Then OP came back with an update post. I went through more of the envelopes and I can't stop shaking. I almost didn't come back here, but I feel like I owe it to everyone who reached out. A lot has happened. My mom finally came to see me in person and she broke down before she even sat down. She told me she found a photograph of me sleeping in my aunt's house years ago. She confronted Linda about it, and Linda told her it was sentimental, that she just loved watching me sleep because I reminded her of her own daughter she never had. My mom accepted that. She kept sending me back every summer because both my parents worked doubles and the free childcare was too convenient. No other options. Or that's what she told herself. She sat there crying, saying I thought I was overreacting. I felt nothing. I just sat there and stared at her. Then the second thing hit. The police called me in and told me they found padded shipping envelopes in the basement, mailers with international addresses on them. The photos were not just a personal collection. They were being sent out, distributed. I can't say more than that right now because the FBI is involved. She wasn't just keeping them, she was sending them to people. The update thread exploded overnight, and these replies cut deep. Former CPS worker here. The darkroom and the shipping materials elevate this way beyond personal collection. You need to get the FBI involved, not just local police. This is federal territory. Seconding this hard. Local PD will not have the resources or jurisdiction to trace international shipping routes. The IC3 tip line is where this needs to go immediately. Every day those addresses sit uninvestigated is a day the recipients have to destroy evidence. Please, please, please tell me you've contacted law enforcement. If there were shipping envelopes with addresses, there is a network and other children may still be at risk. And that right there, that is the moment a disturbing family secret became a federal investigation. OP went quiet after that, but she did come back one last time. This was where the post slowed down. No more revelations, no more twists, just OP sitting with what was left. I've turned everything over. Local police have it. The FBI has it. I don't know what happens next, and honestly, I don't have the energy to care right now. What I do know is that I am done with my mother. She knew something was wrong. Maybe not the full scope, but she saw a crack in the wall, and she chose to paint over it, because free childcare was more convenient than asking hard questions. I keep thinking about that. How Aunt Linda built this whole trap out of trust and sugar cookies and firefly jars and warm milk before bed, and my mom just handed me over every single summer. I started therapy 2 weeks ago. My therapist says it's going to take time, and I believe her because right now, I can't even drive past a school bus stop without my chest going tight. I see kids standing there with their backpacks and I don't know. I think about the filing cabinets. I think about the envelopes. I think about all the other kids on that wall who don't know yet. I live on the 4th floor, and I still check every window before I go to sleep. I don't think I'll be posting again. I got what I needed off my chest. Thank you to everyone who reached out. The thread went quiet after that. Account went dormant. Comments kept coming in, but OP never responded again. I grew up in a similar rural setup with a relative who had off-limits rooms. Reading this made my stomach drop. I hope you have someone you trust to lean on right now, because this is not something to process alone. And that's the thing that stays with you about this one. It's not the basement. It's the kitchen upstairs where everything looked normal. The sugar cookies cooling on the counter. The porch swing creaking in the evening. A whole family system that a predator hollowed out from the inside while everyone smiled through dinner. The mother's silence was its own kind of violence. Not the loud kind, the kind that just lets the door stay closed. OP's account never posted again. But this next story, this one might be even harder to hear. I, 26-year-old male, started a lawn care business, and one of my regular clients just told me something about my childhood I can't stop thinking about. Posted to r/offmychest by Lawn Care Throwaway 91 3 days ago. This one starts out quiet and then completely pulls the rug out from under you. OP is a 26-year-old guy running a small lawn care operation. Dropped out of college, built something real with his own hands, and for the first time in a long while, life actually felt steady. Then he picks up a new client. She had an overgrown yard and a warm smile, and from day one, something about her felt just a little too familiar. I started my lawn care business about 2 years ago after dropping out of college. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine, and for the first time in my life, I felt like I had solid ground under me. About 6 weeks ago, I picked up a new client. Older woman, maybe late 60s, lives in one of those quiet neighborhoods where every house looks the same except hers. Her yard was completely overgrown, like nobody had touched it in months. She was warm from the very start. Almost too warm. She knew my name before I even introduced myself, but I figured she just saw it on the truck. Every Thursday I'd show up, and she'd have lemonade waiting on the porch. She'd ask about my life, my family, where I grew up, where I went to school. I just thought she was lonely. Then last Thursday, I'm sitting on her porch taking a water break, and she looks down at the scar on my forearm. The one I've always been told came from a dog bite when I was little. She goes completely still. Her whole face just changes. And she says, "That wasn't from a dog, sweetheart. I know because I'm the one who carried you to the hospital that night." I couldn't move. She told me she used to babysit me when I was 4 years old, that she knew my biological mother. I don't remember any of it. Not her face, not the house, nothing. I sat in my truck for 45 minutes after I left. I couldn't drive home. And that's where he stops. Engine off, hands on the steering wheel, staring at a scar he's had his whole life that suddenly means something completely different. Now, after what she told him in the driveway, you think OP would go straight home and start making phone calls, tearing through old records, demanding answers. But that is not what happened, at least not right away. I couldn't sleep for 3 days. I kept pulling up my sleeve and staring at that scar like I was seeing it for the first time. I've told people the dog bite story my whole life. It was just part of being a kid. Now I'm lying in bed at 2 a.m. running my fingers over it, wondering what actually happened. I called my adoptive mom on Tuesday and brought it up as casual as I could. "Hey mom, remember that dog bite I got when I was little?" She didn't skip a beat. Same story she's always told. "Neighbor's dog, you were so small we rushed you to the ER." She didn't flinch, didn't hesitate even a little. Thursday came and I went back to mow Linda's yard. I had a whole list of questions ready, but the second she walked outside with lemonade, I couldn't say any of them. She could tell. She sat me down on the porch and started talking real slow, like she was choosing every single word. She said my biological mother had a boyfriend. She said things were bad. She said she tried to help, but the system moved slow. She mentioned calling CPS. Every time I pushed for more, she'd pull back. Not like she was hiding it, but like she was afraid of what it would do to me hearing it all at once. After I finished the yard, I sat in my truck and Googled my birth mother's name for the first time in my life. Nothing. Not a single result. I went back to Linda's door and she let me in. I sat in her kitchen while she made tea, and that's when it really hit me. This woman knows more about my first 4 years alive than anyone on earth, and I don't even know what to ask her. Think about that for a second. He came in to ask about one scar. Now he's realizing his entire childhood might be a story someone else wrote for him. And Linda, she is sitting right across from him, holding over 20 years of silence in her chest, letting it out one careful piece at a time. Like she has been rehearsing this conversation since the day she carried a 4-year-old boy to the hospital. And trust me, this is just getting started. This is where the story shifts from unsettling to something harder to name. The next 2 weeks were the worst kind of autopilot. I'd show up to jobs during the day, smile at clients, edge their driveways, collect my checks. Then I'd go home and sit in front of my laptop reading about CPS intake processes until 2 in the morning. I filed a request for my old case records. They told me it could take weeks. Meanwhile, Linda kept telling me things in pieces. Never all at once. She'd wait until I was finishing up, drinking water on her porch, and then she'd say something like, "The boyfriend used to lock you in the hall closet when he was angry," or, "Your mother was using pretty heavily by the time I started watching you." She told me about a night she came over and found me sitting in the dark with bruises on both arms. She took photos. She said she still has them. Here's what messes me up. Linda remembers my childhood better than I do. I have nothing before age 5, just a blank space. She has specific nights, specific injuries, specific things I said as a 4-year-old that I will never remember saying. And then I started noticing things in her house. There's a drawing on her fridge done in crayon, the kind a little kid makes. A toy truck on a shelf in her hallway that looks like it hasn't been touched in 20 years. I didn't ask about them. I'm not sure I want to know. But something shifted in me. I still feel grateful. I think she saved my life. But I also feel watched in a way I can't explain. The comments on this one went exactly where you'd expect. I work in Child Protective Services. 7 calls before action was taken is sadly not unusual. The system failed you, and this woman clearly knew it. I'm so sorry. I'm not gonna lie, the part where she just casually brought up your scar during a water break is wild. How do you even respond to that in the moment? I don't know how to feel about this. She saved your life, but she's also been essentially surveilling you for 2 decades? That's a lot to process. That's exactly where I'm stuck. She didn't just happen to find me. She told me she moved here 3 years ago after she saw my business listed on Google with my photo. She recognized me. I owe her everything, and I also feel like I can't breathe when I'm in her house. The photo album had my junior prom picture in it. I don't even know how she got that. OP went quiet for a few days after that kitchen conversation. Then he came back with an update post. I asked my adopted parents about the scar, and my mom left the room crying. I got the CPS records. It took about 2 weeks and a lot of back and forth, but they finally came through. There were 7 reports filed over the course of 1 year. 7. All from the same caller. Each one reads like it was written by a machine. Child appeared malnourished. Visible marks on arms and torso. Caller expressed fear for child's safety. Every single time Linda called. Every single time they noted it and filed it away. The boyfriend was named in 4 of the reports. He was never charged, not once. My mother lost custody eventually, but he just disappeared like none of it happened. That part alone would have been enough to break me. But then I found something else. Linda didn't just happen to live in this neighborhood. She moved here. I don't know exactly how she tracked me, but she did. She knew which family adopted me. She knew where I went to school. She has been quietly watching from a distance for over 20 years just to make sure I was okay. She picked this house on purpose. She built her whole life around the chance that one day I might end up at her door. And I did. I showed up with a push mower and a quote for $35 a visit, and she just smiled and said yes. And that is where the comments completely split. The fact that your family told you it was a dog bite is what gets me. They rewrote your entire history. You deserved the truth. The photo album detail at the end genuinely made my stomach drop. That's not normal behavior, even from someone who saved your life. Please be careful. I think we need to hold space for the possibility that this woman has significant unresolved trauma of her own from what she witnessed. Doesn't make the surveillance okay, but she watched a child get hurt and the system ignored her for years. That breaks people in ways that don't heal clean. That tension between protector and something harder to name, it sat in the comments like an open wound. And OP was reading every single one of them. So here's where things landed for OP. And honestly, this is the part that got me. I still mow her lawn every Thursday. I show up at 9, she has lemonade on the porch, and we talk for maybe 10 minutes before I start. But I can barely look at her. Not because I'm angry. I'm not angry at all. I just don't know what face you're supposed to make when someone has loved you that quietly for that long. Like, what do you do with that? I started therapy 3 weeks ago. My therapist says I'm processing 20 years of identity in real time, and I need to be patient with myself. I haven't confronted my adoptive parents about the lies yet. The dog bite story, the clean break from my bio mom, all of it was constructed. I'm not sure I even want to bring it up. Maybe they were protecting me. Maybe they were protecting themselves. I don't know. But here's the thing that broke me. Last Thursday, after I finished the yard, Linda asked me to come inside for a second. She wanted to show me something. On her coffee table was a photo album, school portraits from 1st grade through 8th. A Little League team photo where I'm in the back row squinting at the sun. My high school graduation, none of which I ever gave her. She collected every single one. I sat on that woman's couch and I cried like I was 4 years old again. I don't know what to call a woman who spent 20 years making sure I was alive from a distance, but I think the word might be mother. The comments on this one were gentle. Please don't stop going to therapy. This is the kind of thing that rewires how you see literally everything about yourself. Take it slow. Sometimes the people who save us never announce themselves. They just show up with lemonade on the porch, and they wait 20 years for you to be ready. The system failed this kid 7 times over, and one woman decided that wasn't good enough. Identity gets rewritten in a single conversation, and sometimes the person who rewrites it has been watching from a distance all along. And that is the last story for today.